Chase says bet money Spoon is late. I don't know if you're betting for or against Chase, but you're either about to clean up or pay up. Damon, Tunney. What's good, Bo? Pleasure seeing you, brother. Jay. Country Queen, I don't know you by internet handle, but hey. Ah, Leanne, girl. I usually am early, Jay. I'm getting a hang of this live streaming thing, so typically I'm just sitting here fucking with settings and stuff for the first like 10 minutes. So I'm quote unquote late when I actually get here 15 minutes early, and it takes me 25 minutes to figure out how to do all this cool crap. Hey, Chris. Good to see you made it home, brother. Carissa! Carissa, do you watch live streams with your helmet on, or is that only when you ride the bus? Steve, what's good, brother? Kevin. I can't fight you because I'd be at an unfair advantage. I need to get my own head protection, and we can spar. Yay! Thank you so much, Trish. I was stoked whenever you messaged me and you let me know that you had it in your pack. Just this to get more of me and less of Abby's happy birthday, Corgi. I heard, Court. I'm sorry. I don't think I have COVID, but I've got a nasty case of the pit flu. It could be COVID. I don't know. Maybe it's a mild case, but I know that I was real fucked up ever since about halfway through Saturday. Drake. I hold to the fact that for money versus entertainment value, Ragdoll Kung Fu may be the greatest video game ever made to this day. That is, hey, brother. We're probably just going to hang out for about another minute and let people remember that this was a thing and whatever. And then we'll get rolling. Thanks, Steve. I'm actually super fond of it. So I actually got like, they're just pink, but I got 3 different shades of pink. But I got like light pink and azalea. And yeah, I'm actually pretty big fans of them. Abby keeps trying to steal me from. She's like, Daddy, you're not gonna wear that pink shirt a lot, are you? You should just give it to me. Like she keeps trying to snake me out of it. Chase, Maz has a wrench so that he can hit you in the head with it if you step out of line. And John and Justin, 2 best friends. Okay, now I know. we were sitting there when we got the announcement, like, hey, you know, Saturday's done, and then they're like, Sunday's done too. We are like, oh no, and people were like listing off bands. They're like, oh, we don't get to see XYZ, you know, and I forget who had the revelation first, but someone was like, oh my God, you know what this means? And like all at once, we were like, the family photo. Like it was devastating. All right, well, let's get started for now. So, hey everybody, glad to see there's 40 of y'all hanging out here. Right on. That's sweet. I have seen. So the reason I wanted to do this mainly is I wanted to, at the end of it, I wanted to touch base and get with all y'all and, you know, hear your experiences and quell your questions and stuff and try and gather as much feedback as I can to try and forward, you know, to the powers that be out there. But I also really wanted to put the kibosh on, man, all the crazy rumors that are just flying out there. Like I don't think the fest was even officially canceled yet, and people were already, you know, I mean, stories tantamount to Bigfoot being sighted. Like it's insane some of the things I've been reading. My personal favorite is that it was because Pit Crew walked out. That was the first like big rumor that I saw. Someone screen capped it and sent it to me, and they were like, "Oh my God, are you guys okay? You walked out." I was like, what? I was like, that's news to me. And I took a picture of me like at the barricade in front of the crowd. And I was like, apparently I got left behind. I was the last to know that we all walked out. Uh, but just to kind of set the record straight on some of the nonsense and share my experience from it. And, you know, like I'm a transparent person. Like I have no shame in, you know, who I am or what I believe in or how I live my life. Now, going into this story, I do recognize that I have an incredibly unique perspective for two reasons. And that's, you know, one, I'm kind of entrenched with a lot of the festival family, be it the fans or, you know, even the vendors or some of the artists or whatever. So my experience is definitely not your average experience. But also hand in hand with that, I understand that I am optimistic almost to the point of being offensive to some people. Like I know that just as much as I am a person that's like, you know, oh, you're selling me a car with a flat tire? Sweet. That means this car has 3 good tires and a working engine and, you know, yada, yada. There are the people on the opposite end of the spectrum where this festival could have been amazing from start to finish. And if they would have seen like one overflowing trash can or had to stand in line for food through one band that they wanted to see, this is the worst fest ever. Oh my God, I missed a band because I was hungry and blah. Like, it's just, you know, for some people, they're always going to see the good in things. And for some people, they're always going to see the bad in things. So I'm going to give you my story and you guys can judge, you know, for yourselves. But that's it. That's my disclaimer. That's my big legal, your mileage may vary. So I have my little cheat sheet. I actually sat here today. Like it's, when I tell you that the last few days have been a blur, I like sat here and I had to like, okay, hold on. Was that Thursday or was that Friday? No, Friday. Like, and I'd like go back and look at the schedule for like the show of like what bands played when, and just to remember, like, okay, yeah, like that's how things happen in that order because it was just an absolute mishmash of like one continuous experience. Uh, but I had my little cheat sheet. I went back and like literally like looked at my uh like the schedule of the bands playing and like my some of my messages in Messenger and stuff. Like when did that call come through and when did I, you know, whatever. But if Maz, are you still here? Yes, sir. Awesome. Maz, if you can do me a favor, you are really easy to see because you are highlighted nice and big and bold and blue for being an admin. If you can just keep an eye on chat while I'm regaling this story because it's scrolling pretty fast. It's hard for me to keep up. But if there's like a really pertinent question, or if anyone makes a really good point or anything like that, just flag it forward. We just say something like, "Hey, Spoon, check out whatever's comment," or so I can look at it, because it's hard to keep a train of thought and read all of these at the same time. So if you could do that for me, sir, I'd be very grateful. Awesome. So my day started what I will refer to, my birth experience started on what I will refer to as day -1, which is Tuesday. So Tuesday was early check-in day, and it was also, when will call was open and everything. So I was up at 0700 with my kids, getting them up and ready and then off to school. And then the beginning of my packing and rundown for everything. Left that day about 1:30, about 1300, when me and Frank and Rob rode up to VA to get to will call, because we had to pick up all of our passes and some campsites that we had, and then we also had to like other people that had only received like part of their order, or their order didn't come in, and just friends and stuff. So we just kind of compiled everything to make sure everyone got taken care of. So we're off to will call. We get up there, and it's supposed to open at 1600, and we are super pleasantly surprised when we roll in like right at 1500, and there is literally zero line. And when I say zero line, I don't mean like 30 people. I mean like there were like 5 windows, and there were like 3 windows taken by people at them, and there were like 2 wide open windows. And just as someone would walk up, someone else would walk away, and I was like, holy crap. So we rolled up, saw some family already chilling that was the blue lot. Already saw some family chilling there, so like hung out, dapped them up, gave some love, super excited to see everybody, and then walked up to Will, literally no wait, walked up to an empty window, got our stuff, walked away. Will call couldn't have been a better experience. And it wasn't even melting ridiculously hot at that point. So hung out there with some family for a while. And then we had a meeting set up with the head of security at the actual venue for that afternoon. So after we hung out for a while, we headed over there probably 1700 or so, and met with them at the security HQ. Going into this, our intention was, especially after last year and everything that happened there, we were like excited that this was our vacation. We were like, hey, we're coming in, we're going to relax, we're going to see all the family, it's going to be great, we're going to open up the pits and sing and dance and just have a blast for 5 days. And we had the 18 of us that had the high vis shirts that we had volunteered to meet with security and work with them to help keep people safe out in the crowd. If someone goes down in a pit with a broken ankle, or something like that, or someone passes out from whatever overindulgence, or if we break up a fight or whatever, it was just for us to be more visible in the crowd, and for us to have a face-to-face relationship with security, so that we could throw up the X and they could trust that it actually was something that needed addressed, not a false alarm. Or if we brought someone a troublemaker or bootlegger or whatever, that it was people they could trust and could get it handled, and we'd hand it off from there. We were not, it was purely on a volunteer basis. We were supposed to just be ticket having, fun loving concert goers, just like all y'all out in the crowd. But we had a meeting just so we could get that face to face, show them what our shirts look like, just kind of refresh from last year and go on about our day. And that was the plan. So we get there day -1 and meet with them, and everything's great. He's like, hey, this is the pit crew. They're awesome. They really saved our bacon last year, a bunch of stand-up guys and girls and yada, yada. And then they had mentioned that, they were like overstaffed this year, and, they had X, Y, and Z security, and they brought in, more heads that they needed. And, but they did ask us if, a few of us, the bigger guys that knew what we were doing and that had helped out last year, and that, work for Live Nation and, do security at shows regularly and everything, if we could come to the pre-party the next day, just to, because he said, some of the guys they had were seasoned vets. Some of the guys they had were, had only seen a show or two, and some had never run barricade before. So they wanted us to come in, you know, just make sure everything was running smoothly. Like, hey, here's how you safely catch someone. Here's how you safely put them down. Here's how you work in pairs. Here's how you effectively trade off. You know, here's where you should be stationed, yada, yada. For the first couple sets of the pre-show. And we're like, yeah, for sure. No worries. We can do that. Absolutely. You know, and we're going to be at the pre-show anyway, because Scars was playing and Non-Point was playing and Creed was playing. And so a bunch of us were already geeked for the pre-show, and we're like, we're going to be there anyway. So absolutely. Why not? We, you know, said our goodbyes, and that was that. So we headed off, went back to Will Call because, you know, people were running late or whatever. So we had stuff to trade off to them so they could get into their campsite or whatever. So back to Will Call, hung out for a while. From there, we had about a 3-hour drive. I had to actually go back down to Aberdeen, North Carolina, for the place that we use to print our shirts. They were actually like hot off the press. They had run into a snag and yada yada. But anyway, the actual high vis shirts weren't done until that night. So once we got the call from them, drove down to there, picked up the high vis shirts with like the world's most perfect timing. Like as we pulled into the place, we walked into the main office. We literally watched the last 2 shirts like come off the line, like through the dryer conveying belt. And we were like, that was just meant to be. And then from there, drove home, hour and change, 2 hours to home, finish up packing for the day, fall into bed, pass out around 0400. And then up at 0630 the next day with the intention of getting to site. You know, this is Wednesday, day 0. And the intention is to get there, meet with family that had done early check-in or whatever, you know, help set up their sites, finalize their sites, kind of roam the grounds, figure out where everything's at and get a good sense of the layout and everything. And then just hang out and chill till the pre-party, go to the pre-party, you know, work with security, show them what's up, get in the pit, have a fucking blast. At 11:24 a.m. is where the entirety of BRRF kind of takes the hard left. So they brought in, to my knowledge, over 400 security guys, 410. Now, for any of you that were camping, no, there was that big, like, I don't know, like 6 or 8 lane, like, you know, racetrack that they were bringing people in and filtering them through to get searched and check you into camping and everything. And out on that tarmac, that asphalt, whatever, you know, it was already 100+ degree day. It was like the hottest that Wednesday was like the hottest recorded day in September for the past like 16 years or some nonsense like that. But on the tarmac with, you know, the heat reflecting up and everything, it was 145 degrees. So people were falling out from heat exhaustion left and right. It was so hot that the drug sniffing dogs they had were literally falling out from heat exhaustion. Then the dogs were getting carried into the EMS tent and given IVs and stuff and, you know, cooling pads and everything. Like it was just hotter than sin. So for the first part, for early check-in on Tuesday, the camp-in check-in line like just rolled. It was just fluid the whole time, no slowdowns, like was great. Everyone I talked to personally that did the early check-in had no issues, said the line was moving quick. It was tap through, like awesome. And even in the front part of the day, it was pretty much the same thing. But once that sun, you know, got up over the tree line and once that heat started beating down, people were dropping like almost literal flies. Over of the 410 security that they had on site, and as they're like filtering people in of like, hey, this guy's down, put in another person, this guy's down, hey, pull this guy from here, okay, this guy's down. They had almost 200 people go down from heat exhaustion. Half of the security staff went down with heat exhaustion on like day 1 of check-in. They just couldn't throw bodies at it fast enough, and that is whenever the camping line slowed down to a crawl. So whenever, you know, you hear people like, oh yeah, we got there at like 7 and we got in the gates at like, you know, 10 or 11 and started setting up. It was, you know, a pretty quick line for as long as it was. And then you get the people that like, oh yeah, we rolled in at like 10:30 and we were in line until like 9 p.m. Like that's why they literally ran out of heads to throw at it. Because of this, they literally pulled from everywhere, you know, to try and keep that line moving and try and get campers in and, you know, to keep it, the 18-hour, what could have been a freaking like 36-hour wait. They just literally pulled people from everywhere they could to stick them onto the check-in line to try and keep the line moving as best they could. As a result of that, at 11:24 a.m., I get the call from the director of security. He's like, "Hey, Spoon." I'm like, "Hey, man, what's good? Good to hear from you." He's like, "Are you on grounds?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm up here. I was at Camp DGen with some of the fam." I was like, "Yeah, we're up here, helping set up canopies, and we're hanging out, and we're about to go, I was getting ready to go check on, this campsite and this campsite, whatever." And he's like, "Look, man," he's like, "I do not want to be having this phone call." He's like, "But I'm going to level with you. I'm going to be honest." He's like, "How many, he's like, how many of your guys are reliable and know what they're doing? Do you have on site right now?" And I was like, "Well, we have X number." And he's like, "Will you have a sufficient number of you? Could you run the full barricade tonight for the pre-party with just your guys?" And he explained the situation to me. And I was like, "Okay." And keep in mind, it's 11:24 a.m. So this is like 3 hours notice because the pre-party starts at like 3:30. So I was like, "Yep, let me start making some phone calls." So because they'd moved everyone that was supposed to be working barricade for the pre-party over to help with camp check-in and to replace people that were falling out from heat exhaustion all over the place, because who predicted a 145-degree day in early September in Virginia? So I was like, "Yep, let me start making some phone calls." So rallied the troops, got it handled, got everyone there. We had, and in my opinion, an amazing pre-party. It went off without a hitch. 0 people dropped. Everyone was happy and singing along and, slapping beach balls in between sets. And it was a good time. Now, throughout this, I'm keeping in touch with everyone like, "Hey, as pit crew are slowly rolling into the campgrounds, we're getting, extra people to come in, because obviously like the crowd that was there for Madam Mayhem is not equal to the crowd and, Ferocity that's going to be there for Non-Point. So we're, kind of replenishing our numbers as the day goes on and getting it handled, but it worked out without a hitch. About, I don't know, 2100-ish, kind of before the headliners. I don't think 10 years had gone on yet. I was in touch with the director of security, and he's letting me know like, "Hey, we're getting people replenished. We're getting people back on their feet from the heat exhaustion earlier in the day and everything. And we're bringing people in, from different security companies and stuff. So hopefully what we want to do is in the morning, if you can come in and kind of do what you're going to do today and just do a training, with our guys at headquarters, and then, just kind of show them the ropes, make sure that they know what they're doing, station where they need to be, and then you can head out and enjoy the fest, and life will be as it should." I was like, "Cool, sounds great. Let's go for it." So work out the rest of the day. Pre-party ended up going up till like, I don't know, like 0100. Like it was, I don't know, it was late, y'all. it was early. Let's put it that way. So head out that night, and even like, God bless the campers. I tell you what, when we left that night pulling out, it was like 0130 by the time we walked back and, got back to headquarters and got in our car and was driving out. And the line for the camping line was still backed up like 3 miles. And this is at 0130 in the morning on Wednesday night / Thursday morning. So the camping was no joke. Like if you didn't get in at the pre-check-in or early on Wednesday, once everyone went down and they had, less than half as many people as they needed to keep it flowing, the check-in was for sure just a long, arduous journey. So props to anyone. I know that, some of the people in pit crew, like Rob, I know himself said it was like a 6 or 7 hour line for him to get in. And like Dom and Steve got in, I think like at 0700, maybe 0730. And they were in like before noon and set up and, good to go. And then Rob got in line at like 10, and he didn't get into like, I think like 17 or 1800. Like it was late. So just that 2 hour window of getting in the morning was when like everybody rolled in and everything fell apart, on the tarmac. And so it was definitely a kind of the dam bursting, the old, if something can go wrong, it will. And that was day 0. So we've now officially Made it to day one. It is Thursday. It is the opening day of BRRF. Wake up that morning, probably like 0800, get some breakfast, get dressed, rally the troops, drive in. Sorry, y'all, I'm dying. Get in probably like 045 or 0945 and take a deep breath, kind of gird myself for the day, like walk over to headquarters, get in, it's like 0955, get with the director of security. And I was like, hey, like what's going on? What's up? And he tells me that, he's had more people go down, people that, went through the night and they were checking people in literally the whole night. They never stopped. As we got in that morning, they were still checking in campers. They rolled all through the wee hours. And he said, the people he had, are exhausted or they're, getting sleep after, working all night and it was at that moment that we were kind of like, okay, look, just to avoid this being a revolving door of, sure, we'll step in a little and, you can supplement it. It basically just came as like, look, just subcontract this out to us. I was like, let pit crew step up. A bunch of us, we have EMS, law enforcement, current and former, military. We have firefighters. We have people that do this for Live Nation in their everyday jobs when they're not here. Like, I was like, we have enough heads here that if I shoot a flare up, we can handle this. I was like, let us run this. You guys take care of everyone else, get the campers checked in, run what you need to run, whatever. Let us do front of house. I was like, give us radios, give us transportation to get people around to stages where we need to put them. And then you can kind of wash your hands of this. We'll run it. We know what the fuck we're doing and we'll reconvene. And he was like, you can do that. And I was like, we've done that. Okay. This is not us. This is the sequel. Okay. So I was like, yeah, let me make some calls. I was like, this is going to be tight. A lot of our people are still setting up camps and, whatever. So, taking naps because they just finished setting up camp at like 0300 or whatever. So I shot up a flare. I talked to like every major camp I knew. I was like, I hit up BJ and I hit up Lasher. And I was like, look, boys, we talked some numbers. Here's what we're dealing with. Like, pit crew has officially been called in. We're getting paid. We're getting comps. We're getting meals. Let's just come in and handle this. This is, the state of the fest is in. Security's needed elsewhere. We know what we're doing. We know how to do this. Let's get it done. And yeah, people were springing up. So we did it. We started, recruiting the people, the 18 yellow high vis shirts that, we already had there, rolled up and reported for duty. And then we were pulling people, out of camp and everything. And it was beautiful. Like before the first band hit the set, we were staffed on 4 different stages and we were ready to go and rock and roll. And that was the beginning of our day one, which rolled really smoothly. It was nice. Like, I wish I was more of what I'm going to refer to as a TikToker, because some of the moments were just so beautiful and so fluid. Like, there was times where I had like, 18 pit crew at stage 3 with me. And, they sets over, step out, hit my walkie. Hey, we're looking good here. How's everyone doing? Oh, I had, 2 people go down or whatever at, main stage, or, oh, main stage is getting slammed right now. We've got whatever band coming. It's all a blur, but we've got X band coming. I'm like, cool. I got 4 people coming to you. They jump on the cart. They're over to stage 1. Hey, how you doing up at stage 4? Hey, we're rocking and rolling. Okay, cool. Hey, can I get some help down here? Yeah, I got 1 I can send. I got 2 I could, like, it was beautiful. We got people, we're rotating people in to take breaks, and hey, I'm fucking floored, man. Can I get some shade? Yeah, cool. Go, grab a bottle of water, get them to the stage. Hey, you're in, come on. Like, it just rotated throughout the day. We were rolling and rocking, and it was awesome. But that was my festival experience. Now, keep in mind that this is halfway through day 1, technically day 3 for me. I haven't seen any of the grounds minus the barricade of stage 3, because I was there for the whole pre-party. I was there for all of day 1 so far. And at around, I don't know, 1830, close to 1900, I heard that they got drizzles elsewhere, but for us at stage 3, it was literally like, oh, the sky is a little gray. Like, no drizzle, no sprinkle, no nothing. It was just like clear skies, bright blue, burning hot sun, gray skies. Woo, the fury of hell. Like, the sky just opened up and dumped on us like instant. There was no warm up, there was no trickle, there was no warning. Yes, thank you, Maz. Stage I forget that the stages had names because I was just in pure like. So main stages were stages 1 and 2, the monster and the Zen stage. Stage 3 was the famous monsters stage, over kind of near the camping entrance, and then stage 4 was up on the hill, the smart punk stage. But they're just 1, 2, 3, and 4 to me. That's how I've referred to them for the past week of my life. So I actually had to think about it whenever I was like, like telling people like, hey man, I'm coming in today, where I'm going to see. I'm like, cool, man, stop by stage 3. I'll be there all day. And they're like, which one's stage 3? I was like, I think it's a famous monster stage. So, but the sky opened up. We dove underneath the stage. We're just sitting there chilling. And we're hanging out. And all of a sudden we hear this like god awful crack. And we knew lightning had hit. We knew lightning had hit something. We didn't know what. I still can't say for certainty. I've heard speculation that lightning hit stage 4. I've heard that it hit, whatever pole or whatever. But lightning definitely hit something, and it hit something close because it was one of those cracks. I don't know how many of y'all grew up out in the country, have ever been near a lightning storm or like had lightning actually hit like a lightning rod or on a silo or a barn, but you can literally feel it in the air. And you can like kind of feel the impact. And like, that was the feeling. Like when it hit, I was like, oh, that was close. So we got the F out from underneath the stage. The one bad thing about Chalky Mill is you can't use it for Alka-Seltzer. You got to do 2 different drinks. So we got the F out of the stage. A good number of us got into the back of a semi-trailer. And like 15 of us piled into it. Frank pulled up in a Suburban. Like 15 of us piled in. Dumped us back at HQ to come back and get the other half. And roll out and get them back. It was just before the lightning strike when we like got the F out of the stage and everything. Actually got a call from Jay because he opted to, whenever it got, shut down whenever the stage got shut down, when the wind first started and everything, he was like, I'm going to my site to make sure everything's battened down and good to go, blah, blah. So he's on the way out. I get the call from him and he's like, bro, if you got anyone camping, you might want to tell them to just hightail it out here and make sure their stuff is good to go. He's like, because it looks like the Wizard of Oz out here. He's like, canopies are rolling down the road. Tents are legit like pulling out of their stakes, and he's like, stuff is getting shredded. He's like, it's bad wind out here. Like, if any of the boys with you are, camping or on the campgrounds, he's like, make sure they get out here and, batten down their shit. I was like 10-4. So as we were rolling through in the Suburban, I mean, it was exactly like it sounds like I'm using, the word hyperbolically, but I saw tents that were literally shredded. Like the tent poles were still there, but the actual fabric of the tent was just ripped open and was like flapping in the wind. And it was just, it looked as if a tent had been there and been forgotten there for like a year and a half and was just desiccated and dry rotted and blowing in the breeze. Like those campgrounds were gnarly when that storm first hit. So we get out of it, we're on hold. We're at headquarters and we're just kind of waiting, like, what's the call going to be? Like, are we going back on, yada, yada. So it gets dark, they're still trying to evacuate people. It's still drizzling, off and on. It's not nearly as bad as it once was. The actual like storm only lasted, maybe 30 minutes or so, but, and I don't know if any of you've seen it. Chase, if Chase is still here, he might be able to post a link if he has it. But the storm literally formed directly on top of us. Like if he like sent us a GIF of like the radar, and it was like, hey, here's VIR or whatever, and it was like, here, this little X right here is the main stage, and it was like, here's the radar effect, and it was like clear, 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 storm, like just red just opened up directly over top of us. Like that's why there was no warning, no call for an evac. It's why like bands were still playing when the rain just came down, because it was sudden. Like it was gnarly. It just came out of literally nowhere. So we waited out. We're sitting there and, checking on the radio. Hey, how's this stage doing? Hey, is everyone good for an accounted there? Cool. And we're listening to the calls at headquarters of, hey, we need guys over here, because, people are kind of going everywhere. They're like, oh, F it, I'm just going to walk, and now it's becoming like a road hazard, because they're trying to get shuttles out, but now people are in the street walking it and the shuttles can't get through. And it was rough. It was a hot mess. And so an hour or so goes by. We finally get, the call that we're going to operate under the presumption that it's just, we're done for the night. And I was like, cool, let's go with that. Well, behind the scenes, I later found out, actually, called the head of security, director of security, to check in on him and be like, hey, just making sure, everything's all good. You don't need any help with, whatever, with the evac or whatever. And, they said they had it under control. I was like, cool. Hang up with him. A few minutes later, I actually get a call from Jonathan Sly, and he was just bummed. And he let me know, like, I was like, hey man, just, we're about to leave the grounds, but, just making sure that I've heard, I've gotten confirmation that we're done for the night. I'm just making sure that, we actually are done for the night. Is like that what you're calling about? He's like, yeah, I wanted to make sure you and your team knew, we're just wrapping it up. And they wanted to reopen on Thursday night, and the bands wanted to play, and they were super bummed that he couldn't. But it was like Evanescence. Let's see if I can do the 7 off the top of my head. It was Evanescence, Five Finger Death Punch, 3 Days Grace, Tech 9, Rise Against, Cypress Hill, and Stained. I'm proud of myself. I did that in front of me right on. Those 7 bands all still wanted to play, and they're like, yeah, we'll go on a wet stage, we don't care, like let's get up, let's sound check, let's check stuff and roll with it. And they were thinking about reopening the grounds, and they're like, okay, cool, let's start testing some stuff. Every single band they tested had at least one thing wrong with their setup. Like Evanescence's mics were fried and weren't working. Five Finger Death Punch's board was damaged from the rain. Stain's monitors, were out. Like every single, all 7 bands that were like, yeah, let's do it, let's roll, we don't care what we play into the night, whatever. All 7 of them were unable to perform because of equipment damage from the storm. And I was like, man, that, along with the storm opening right on top of us, just the fact that all 7 bands had at least one thing go wrong, and they, wanted to reopen the grounds but just couldn't that night because they had no bands to perform, was absolutely heartbreaking. Friday morning, we get back out on site. I'm just scrolling real quick to make sure I didn't miss. Okay, no, I didn't miss any Maz. So Friday morning, get back on site, and across from the security headquarters, the command base, there was this big, like, I mean, genuinely like a circus tent, like a huge, like when you see those like rich people Hollywood weddings, and they always have those like outdoor wedding receptions underneath those big white tents. It was like that. It was just this huge white, circus tent. And that's where all the catering was coming from. They'd set up on site, and they were cooking and preparing and packaging and sending everything out from right there. And the storm murdered their tent. We rolled up onto site Friday morning, and like half the tent was collapsed. They said like almost all of their equipment was just fragged. And there was nothing they could do about it. They were like, we couldn't even attempt to, start prepping. And a lot of the like actual meal stuff, like the flour and whatever, was, damaged in the rain, and just, it was just done. Like there was no way the caterers could cater anymore. So Friday morning, we find out that the catering is done. They're piecing stuff together. You know, they literally called in like breakfast from like a local restaurant or whatever. They literally just like, hey, we need a can we get a DoorDash for 1,400 people? You know, like I don't know where it came from, but they got breakfast there. We had you know, your standard breakfast stuff, a scoop of scrambled eggs and some breakfast, some bacon and sausage and whatever. And we're like, all right, cool. You know, we'd already eaten breakfast on our own or whatever, so we were like, let's just, you know, let's go station up. And we go at it Friday, and you know, it was a hot, dusty wreck, but Friday was an awesome day, from beginning to end. Like all the bands came on and rolled and had a blast, and you know, the people were killing it and doing their jobs. And when I say that heat was brutal this weekend, like I can't stress that enough. Okay, like I know pit crew is made of some tough, like, you know, steel in your bones, skin made of iron, rugged, been through it all, never say die people. And I personally, at stage 3 from my crew that I was running, I saw 3 of us go down on Friday, and just from the heat and exhaustion. And I mean, you know, we were chugging water and trying to stay in the shade in between sets. But you know, just that constant motion of catching surfers and being in the sun, it was brutal. So, you know, I don't want to besmirch anyone and be like, oh yeah, well, their security was going down from heat exhaustion, you know, this and that and that. And it's like, I watched us go down. Like it was murderous hot out there. So, you know, I saw our own people go down, got them taken care of, got them in the shade, you know, cold compress, bottle of water, take a chunk of ice, stick it on their chest. I was like, you're done for the day. You know, don't come back when you're feeling well. Like, relax. You know, so call in and hit the other stages. Hey, you know, who out there? I just had 3 go down. You know, who's got, you know, an extra head or whatever. And God bless all of you. I can't. I can't tell y'all how proud and happy and everything I was. Like, we're up there busting our fucking asses. It's hot as balls. And every time I see a pit crew shirt in the crowd, like you guys are coming up to the barricade and you're like, hey, Spoon, let us know if you need anything. Let us know if we can help out. Can I grab you guys some food from a vendor or whatever? Like Zach, Josiah, uh, um, Matt Wilson, Steve Corsi, Dom and Steve Thompson, freaking Kesha and Clint, sorry, Keisha and Clint, like just so many people throughout both days were just, you know, constantly coming up. Rusty and Lori, just, you know, hey, how are you guys doing? How can I help? Is everyone good? Yeah, we're good for now, man. I appreciate it. All right, cool. Let me know, you know, and then I'd, you know, stand on the barricade and see you guys in the pit and be like, you come here. Be like, you want to get deputized? All right, cool. Put on this shirt. You're working for the weekend. Let's go. You know, they'd step behind the bear and never any hesitancy, never any whatever. They're like, yeah, cool. Let's do it, bro. Step in, start working. It was just, it was beautiful. It was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my life. And every single time someone would walk up or step up or, hey, how you guys doing? Do you need anything? Do I need to go get some food? You know, whatever. It was just beautiful. It meant the absolute world to me every single time one of y'all came up to me or came up to us. And I'll never be able to thank y'all enough for that. It was, you know, I know that the festival is grateful for it, and I know that the people that were crowd surfing, you know, out in the crowd were grateful for it, but I will never be capable of expressing to you. It will always be ineffable for me to explain how grateful I was for all of you guys that came and checked on us. It was just, it is what kept me going. That was, you know, with the liquid IVs and the water and the, you know, food and whatever, like, yeah, great. That was nourishing my body. What kept me going was all the love from you guys. And I was like, all right, cool. I can go sling 200 more surfers. Let's go. Let's get these guys on the ground. It was chicken soup for the soul in the purest form. So thank you for that. But so many people stepped up, and that was day 3. At the end of it, I'm going to give y'all guys one anecdote about this. I know this was just supposed to be, just the facts or whatever, but why I'm okay with this. Now, before I tell this story, I want to reiterate that I did not at all, have the birth I was expecting. I did not have as good of a birth as I could have. Obviously 2 days getting canceled sucks, but I had all my days canceled, and I literally all of I never saw the grounds. I don't know what stage 4 looks like. Like I never got to see any of the vendors. I never got to see any of the sponsor tents or the food or anything. I would literally roll in, walk to behind stage 3, get behind my barricade, and chill till the bell. And that was my day for 3 days in a row. I saw the campgrounds; those were great. I had a lot of fun out there, with some of y'all. But uh, the small moments that I know, as stated at the beginning of this, my disclaimer, I have a really unique, optimistic view on things. The thing that made it worth it, and while I will never have any regrets about my decisions for this birth or the way this birth turned out or anything like that, is Lorna Shore, the headliner of stage 3. So the coup de grace for my stage comes out, and they are absolutely killing it. And when I'm talking, it was just unbridled chaos. I mean, those surfers never stopped. It was exactly what you'd expect from a Lorna Shore. It was one of those where, I'm up on the barricade for 80% of the show. Hey, 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 okay, no surfers, step down. 5 seconds later, oh, there's one, step up onto the barricade. Go, 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 just slinging bodies. And there was like an 11-ish-year-old girl right on the barricade, and she'd been there for a while, and they were there to see Lorna Shore. She was with 2 guardians. I don't know if they're older brother, older sister, mother, father, whatever, but she was with 2 older relatives, I'd presume, and then her. And she was a soldier. Like I'd be, let her like, get down, little sister, and she'd, duck down up against the barricade, and I'd grab a surfer right over top of her and set her down, and then she'd pop back up and watch a show and was enjoying it. And it was hot and miserable, and she like almost fell out a couple times, like she was looking woozy, and I'd run and get her a bottle of water, dump her, let her drink some, and she's like, yeah, I'm good, awesome, let's go. And she's singing along every single word to Lorna Shore. And I like Lorna Shore. I can sing along to maybe 10 words total of their entire discography, and she knew it word for word for word. Like I was surprised she didn't have the in-between bits when Will was just talking. Like she knew everything. And she trooped it out the entire set, and she was just a positive, like every time I was like, she's going to get sick of the surfers, she's going to move, I'm going to have to pull her out soon or whatever. Never happened. She trooped out this whole set. Like this little girl was made of nails and concrete. And about 80% of the way through the set, I looked at her, and she's just sweaty and bedraggled, and like her ponytail's coming out, and I was just like, this little girl has more heart and more determination, than, a lot of the adult men I know. And I looked at her and was like, I want you to know that when this set is over, I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that you get a set list. And you would think that she just received 100 cc's of adrenaline straight to her heart. She was like, oh, are you serious? Oh my God, thank you so much. Ah, and she like went straight Wolverine mode. Like she was in it. The rest of the set, she's rocking out. Yeah, yeah. Like she's helping me catch crowd surfers. She's like, yeah, she was absolutely awesome. So at the end of the set, I wrote a little note on my phone that just said, this little girl needs a set list. And I pulled her over the railing, and I took her up to the front, and I held it up, and Will saw it and pointed at us, and he came over and handed a set list like directly to her. And I mean, she was crying, and she was just, it was beautiful. I went over and I took her back to her parents, guardians, brother, sister, whoever they were. And I mean, she looked like she won the lottery. And that for me, if my entire weekend was pure shit, other than that, 15 minutes of seeing that little girl's reaction and seeing her get the set list and seeing how, just her happy crying. Have you like, I know we've all been happy before, but there's not many times in your life where you get so happy that you're legitimately just bawling. And that made everything worth it to me. I was like, yep. I was like, that's why I'm here. That's why the only part of birth I've seen is the barricade of stage 3, because this, made it all worth it, and maybe it was a shit fest for me. Maybe it was a shit fest for you. Didn't turn out the way we wanted, yada, yada. But for that little girl, she's going to carry that memory the rest of her life. And people are going to be like, yeah, BRRF 2023 sucked. The weather sucked. It was muddy. There weren't enough water stations, whatever people's complaints are. And that article is going to be like, yeah, but let me tell you about this Lorna Shore show, though. And those are the moments I live for. So Lorna Shore ended. Everyone dispersed. I'm like, tripping out about how metal this little girl is and how great her attitude is compared to a lot of the adults I'd been dealing with throughout the day. And I finally get to see some part of the fest other than the barricade of stage 3, because now it's time for Slipknot. So it's all hands on deck for Slipknot, as I'm sure you guys are aware. So we go walking from stage 3 over to stage 4, and I finally get to see a small part of the festival grounds. Never made it up to stage 4, never made it to like the vendor area or anything, but I walked that strip from 3 to 4 that night, got over to Slipknot, ran it, killed it, shoulder to shoulder with, I can't even tell you, 50 or 60 of our brothers and sisters. And it was beautiful. Got a big family photo, afterwards, and we're all sweaty and nasty, and, but we emerged victorious out on the other sides of battle. And not all. So I'm catching up on Blue, making sure I didn't miss anything from Maz. Good, didn't. And man, Slipknot was rough. It was non-stop, but made it through. And we did get fed. Granted, they had to call it like lunch on Friday. It was just literally leftover breakfast. So when we got our chow bags for lunch on Friday, it was just leftover breakfast. So we had like, sliced French toast and a banana and sausage and, bacon, whatever. And we just had leftover breakfast. We had breakfast twice that day, but we did get fed lunch. Dinner, they actually called stuff in. Some of the places had takeout from whatever. Our stage got pizza. Not great pizza. I don't know. Virginia's not known for their pizza, but we had some pizza place delivered or whatever, and it was okay. But we did get fed. There wasn't, oh, they're starving out their people or whatever. Now granted, you have to understand, this is my experience from stage 3. I can't say if the same is exactly true for stage 1 and 2 or the same was true for stage 4, but we did get fed at stage 3. We had water, we had ice. There was a time where we were running low and we had run out of ice. We were down to we dumped in our last bag and we only had a couple cases of water. And I put in a call to headquarters. I got on the radio. I was like, hey, we are out of ice and we're extremely low on water. And we had a pallet there, within minutes. So I don't know where these rumors are coming from of, oh, they weren't giving the help water and they weren't feeding them and yada, yada, yada. As stated, I wasn't everywhere, but I can safely say that at stage 3, we were taken care of. It wasn't the Ritz-Carlton. We weren't getting, freaking sushi and ribeye or anything, but we had all the water we could drink and we were getting fed. So we had, at least calories to keep doing what we were doing. The stagehands that I opened the pre-party with on Wednesday were the same stagehands that, I saw tearing it down for Lorna Shore on Friday night. So the rumor of, oh, the stagehands quit and there was a mass exodus, I have no idea where that came from. Again, that's from my perspective at stage 3. Maybe that happened at stage 1 or stage 4 or something. I don't know why they just couldn't shift people or, I can't speak to that. But what I can say is the whole, oh, the people quit, they went on strike, whatever. That didn't happen at stage 3, and I never heard it come over the radio. I didn't hear anyone like, oh, hey, can we get some help over to stage 4 to break some stuff down? Because our stagehands just walked out. Or, oh, security just walked out. Can we get, some people over here, to help run a gate or whatever? And I can categorically say that I know for a fact that pit crew never walked out. Well, we did, but it was at night after all the shows were over every day. So I would love to know where people are getting this stuff and making it up from, but I can tell you that catering was destroyed on Friday. That did happen. It was the storm's fault. It's not like, whatever. But even through that, we were still getting fed. It by no means was the best food I've ever had in my life, but it was edible and it gave us calories, to get through what we were doing. We had water, we had ice. That was our situation. So the people are like, oh, they didn't eat for 2 days straight and they didn't have water and everyone walked out. I didn't hear or see any of that personally. That doesn't mean it didn't happen, but if it did, it happened on a different channel on the radio, and it happened at a different stage than mine because everything was running like clockwork for us. Leave out Friday night, Saturday morning comes. We're up at like, I slept in a little that day. I think I got up at like 10:00, and the plan was to roll out at like 10:30, be there at like 11 or whatever. And the sky opened up, and we were south. I was staying at a B&B, an Airbnb, about 15, 18 minutes south of the venue, and it hit us hard and heavy. Like, it rolled in, it looked like fog, and then it was just, and I was like, holy crap. And so I called the director. I was like, hey man, what's the plan for today? We're getting some serious weather here. Has it hit y'all yet? What's going on? And before I could even do that, Tim was already headed into the venue because that dude doesn't sleep. He likes to pretend that he sleeps, but I don't think he ever does. I think he just does crosswords. He was already in. He was like, hey, got here at the gate. They're literally turning people away. They're saying, no, we're not, like even from a security, like pit crew standpoint, they were like, we're not even letting y'all in till, we don't want people on the grounds with this storm because, lightning strikes or a tree falls on, whatever may. They're like, just turn around for now. And, when we hear something, we'll give you the heads up. And that's what we operated of for a lot of Saturday. And we literally just chilled at the Airbnb, waiting to hear something. I was feeling like hell. The pit flu hit me quick this year. Usually I feel it a day or two after a fest. I started feeling it like Friday evening, and it was fully set in on me on Saturday afternoon. And then I got the call from Artist Relations like Saturday afternoon, and they're like, hey, where you at? And I was like, sitting in my Airbnb waiting, for a call as if we're opening today, and what we should do, if we should come in. And they were like, get here now. There's going to be a pop-up. We've already talked to XYZ bands. They're going to try and play. Just get in and get here. And I was like, okay, deal. So I literally jumped. I was lying on bed at the time, jumped out of bed, opened the door, yelled out. I was like, if you're riding in with me, you got 5 minutes to get ready. We got the call. We're rolling in. Shine Down and Papa Roach and potentially I Prevail are playing. We're rolling. Everyone was like, deal. So we're throwing on clothes and everything and pile in, get there, get through. Come walk in, and huge, ginormous, unfathomably big crowd gathered around one campsite. And I was like, well, I guess we found our place. And literally, like, as we're walking in, we came in the main entrance, the shuttle entrance, and we walked past stage 3, and we went out the other side of the camping entrance. And the literal, like, the director, like the head, the CEO, the president of the security company running the whole shebang is out there directing traffic. And we passed him like in the crossroads, and I was like, hey man, we're here. We're going to go handle this down here. Let me know if you need anything, but we're on site. And he's like, 10-4, we're getting it handled, brother. So even that dude was out there handling, it was all hands on deck. So we get down to Camp Show Me Your Butthole. Huge shout out to them. And Fight From Within's about to go on. And they're like, yeah, we got X, Y, and Z band lined up. And we're like, dope. So we talked down to, like, hey, what's going on with the, the acoustic set down there with, Oliver Anthony and Shine Down and Papa Roach or whatever. They're like, it's going smooth. I was like, cool. They got no one here. So we're just going to step in at, Camp Show Me Your Butthole and make sure that stays as safe as it can. So we got in. Everyone's throwing us high fives. Like, the crowd's cheering us. They're like, hell yeah, Pit Crew's here. What's up, fam? Hell yeah. And we're like, dope. So we get there. And we get up to the front. We push the crowd back a little bit. They had literally like a cooler as, their ego box or whatever. And Fight From Within goes on, and they kill it. Scars Remain. I set my friends on fire. And then we get a call. I get a call. They're like, hey, we're kind of wrapping up down here. They're like, but we need some extra heads because the popular rumor was that I Prevail is thinking about going on, and if they go on, it's going to get mega rowdy down here. And we were like, all right, bet. So about 6 of us tapped out, let them, like, hey, look guys, we got to head down here. You guys stay here and take care of this. For the rest of I Set My Friends on Fire set and whoever was playing after that, we're out. We got to go down here and handle this. So we go down to the gazebo area where the other pop-up show was at, and we're just kind of on standby, and waiting to hear about it and get back in touch with artist relations. And they're like, yeah, it was kind of like the festival had put the kibosh on it just for safety concerns, and they didn't want anything. It was it'd be much harder to contain if you've got 5,000 people located in one spot and stuff gets rowdy or whatever. And they were having problems with the crowd at Camp Show Me Your Butthole for that pop-up show was so big it was spilling into the street, and they were having a horrible time trying to keep people off the road. And then the traffic was backing up from the campers trying to get out, and we had to make like a dozen announcements. Like even like wild bands were playing, in between songs. The dude would, the MC would grab the mic and be like, guys, step forward, get out of the street. They're going to shut us down. We have to keep the road clear. Like, traffic has to be able to get out. Like, please just move in. Or if you're across the road, move back. It was ridiculous packed. It was the craziest quote unquote house show I've ever seen in my life, but it was such a good time. It was all positive energy and love, and it was great. So we go down and we're relocated down. Ultimately, they, put the kibosh on anyone else performing at the other pop-up, just for safety concerns. And that's the other popular rumor I've seen going around where they're like, stop giving the fest, credit for the, pop-up shows or whatever. It wasn't organized by them. It was purely by the fans, and, they didn't do anything. And it's like, false. That's not true at all. Like that's why I was getting calls about it. That's why we had security heads there. That's why, that's why Jonathan Sly himself was in touch with the MC at Camp Show Me Your Butthole to say, hey, we have to keep people out of the road. We don't want to shut it down. We want this to happen. We want the fans to be happy. So everyone's like, oh, they had nothing to do with it. Like, no, they orchestrated it. They approved it. They sanctioned it. They actually, the artist relations of BRRF were the ones that talked to the artists. Hey, would you be interested in doing this? Can you, go handle this, blah. So the people that are like, don't give BRRF any credit. They had nothing to do with the pop-up shows. That's ridiculously false. I don't know. People like making shit up on the internet. Welcome to the internet. But yeah, so we went down to the other pop-up. We were on standby, ultimately get the call of, hey, it's not happening. So, the other show was kind of already winding down. The other pop-up show was already winding down at this point. So we're like, all right, well, we're going to go into the campgrounds, and because, people are coming out, and we're going to, make sure there aren't any cars stuck or nothing like that. So we go out into the crowd, in the campgrounds rather, and just kind of walked them and had a few calls about exactly what you'd expect in a campground. There was no, I'm getting, my phone's ringing off the hook from personal friends. And they're like, hey, I heard from my sister's cousin's baby mama's brother that the campground is literally burning to the ground right now. Are you okay? And I'm like looking around, and there's just a bunch of people partying. I'm like, yeah, I'm totally okay. I have no idea what you're talking about. And it's like, I did see pictures of whatever. I guess one asshole decided to set his tent on fire as he was leaving instead of just cleaning up his tent or whatever. So I guess that was like it burning to the ground or whatever. I heard reports of people like a huge crowd of rioters like bashing in car windows with rocks and flipping cars over in the road and everything. Never saw any of that. Never heard that come through the radio. I saw, two people drunkenly fighting about something, trying to blame the other one or whatever that some deputies were dealing with. Saw one domestic dispute where some dude and some chick were fighting over something, and the dude was drunked up and punched out the windows in his old lady's car, messed up his hand pretty bad too. So dumb on him. But, we got sheriffs there for that. We saw throughout the event, a handful of people overindulge, overheat, that we got EMS there for. But that was it. The rest of Saturday night was my personal favorite part of the fest. I actually got to just chill at Camp Degen, and we had food and cookies, and reminisced about the times that we had quote unquote together, and they got to tell me about what happened at some of the other stages since I didn't get to see them, and ultimately that was the best part of the fest for me, was just hanging out with family at Camp DJ. There was like 30 or 40 of us there, and like, you know, Maz came over, and like a couple people from Lasher's camp came over, and it was just a good time. It was a wonderful way to top off, you know, to kind of put a good cap onto, you know, kind of a lot of bad. But then drove back Saturday night and got back to the Airbnb, and I was already, you know, sick, and I didn't want to get my Airbnb mate sick or whatever. So I literally loaded up that night and drove home, and Sunday at about 0400 I was in my own bed, and then rested all day yesterday and all of today. And to this morning, woke up at just a dumpster fire of everyone walked out. They were starving people. The pit crew walked out because they weren't being treated correctly, and this and it. And like, I know it. I was like, all right, well, like let's try and quell some of these rumors as best we can. And that was kind of what brought us to here, and here we are. So that was my experience. It was, again, I know I'm slanted to the optimistic, but it was super positive for me, you know, on a whole. Yeah, stuff went wrong. Yeah, you know, it was not how I was planning on spending my vacation. But overall, I'm happy with how it turned out. I'm not pissed off. I'm not angry. I'm not like, oh, I'm going to boycott everything. I've been like, all these, it amazes me how short people's memories are. And they're like, oh my God, I can't believe Blue Ridge didn't have storm shelters in place on the campgrounds. And I'm like, does no one remember Epicenter 2019? Like, where were the storm shelters there? Like, that storm was way worse than this one. And, you know, no, like, what about, you know, I mean, welcome to Rockville has had a day or so canceled, like, for the past 3 years running, I do believe. Like, they're constantly falling victim to weather, and no one's like, oh my God, I was in the rain, I didn't have any shelters, or oh my God, they didn't comp me my tent, or, you know, whatever. Like, it's selective outrage, I guess. So I don't know. It doesn't, a lot of the little nitpicky things, like, yeah, there's definitely legitimate grievances. You know, I heard that there's only one tent for water. There could, you know, with the size of the grounds, there probably could be, you know, 2 water stations or whatever. But, you know, people are like, oh my God, the trash can was overflowing. I've seen overflowing trash cans at every festival I've ever been at. That includes Incarceration, you know, Louder Than Life, The Gathering, freaking Rebellion, Epicenter, like all of them. Like, that's just, there are some things you have to expect that being at a festival. And, you know, I know the shuttle lines at Incarceration for getting back to the campground, I know those can be, you know, upwards of a couple hours because you got everyone waiting in one line, and that's it. So I've said my piece. That's my soapbox moment there to wrap it up. See if anyone has any questions, anything I didn't cover, anything you would like me to clarify, anything that you specifically heard, like, oh, I was told X, Y, and Z, that, you know, this person heard from a guy that worked with a girl that slept with one of the security guards. So now I guess I'm going to start paying attention to chat. Stephen Corsi says we got our camp tickets for next year. And an all-season tent.
Can we come down now?
Rejected. Hey, Jonathan. Jonathan with the H in front. Yeah. Well said. Well said, Tim. Question: have you heard anything about the shuttle pass, BJ? I swear to God. Oh my God, you bottom of the list. I haven't even constructed a list yet, but man, when I do, you're gonna be so far down it. Friday was a great time. Friday bell to bell for me was an awesome time. It was lightning in a bottle. I can say I absolutely had a wonderful day Friday. even conditions being what they were with the heat and everything. Do I have a YouTube upload schedule? No, I do not. I don't think I do. That would be a question, honestly, most best directed to Maz, Danny Mazzeo. He is the head of our media division. But to my knowledge, we don't have a YouTube upload schedule, but I know that we have a crap ton of content on the way between interviews with bands that we were lucky enough to sit down with pre-BRRF and at BRRF. And we have a lot of BRRF coverage, coming up outside of this, tirade, the view from Barricade 3, as it'll be known. Actual experience, the bartenders at the Red Barn on the Hill are instructed to keep patrons out during the storm. That part sucked. That does suck. I feel like that would or should be the opposite. Oh, dang. That was okay. Let's see. Love you too, Missy. Glad this you stepped in. I had a great time too. Like I know a lot of people would be like, man, that sounds like it sucks, Spoon. Like you showed a vacation and you just went to work all day, every day in the sun. I'm like, yeah, but I got to see people I love and I got to keep people safe, and I got to make memories and meet a bunch of friends, and worth it. There's a thing about Icon getting paid. Yes, Icon is getting paid. We put pen to paper. We officially got contracted to work this. This wasn't a, oh my God, security's so bad they can't do anything. People had to come in out of the crowd. Like before the fest officially kicked off, we sat down with the director of security. That's, if you want to rewind like an hour, actually talk about that part. So we did get contracted. There's obviously an invoice has to go in and yada yada, and payment, and wait for a check to clear and all that stuff. This. Why did they say cancel the rest of Saturday and all of Sunday? Any idea? So I don't have this. I wasn't in that meeting. I don't, have the, firsthand experience. But from what I was told, it ultimately was safety precautions. Just because, the weather was supposed to be super bad. It was coming back on Saturday, and then it was coming back bad on Sunday. And as opposed to a situation where they're like, well, let's roll the dice and risk it, and, open up on Saturday evening, and then, have to shut down again, because there was a 90% chance of storms on Saturday night, and ended up, the 10% won or whatever. But when they're sitting in the weather center, the command center, and making those decisions, it was the most logical thing to cancel Saturday. And then Sunday was actually looking worse. I've seen pictures from the grounds. There are still people, like I still have friends and family that are still on the grounds yesterday and even today. And one of the scariest things that I saw was, no exaggeration, like there was a tree like this, like I can't even get it on camera. It was, I wouldn't be able to get my arms around one side of it. It was a huge trunked tree that got completely uprooted and had fallen over the road. And there was a Penske truck on the road, and it got full tacoed. Like this tree was big enough that it went over from the storm and just tacoed a Penske truck to where its back wheels were not on the ground. Like it was folded and lifted up around this tree. And it was just a huge, huge monster of a tree that got taken down from the wind, from the storms. And so once I saw that picture, I was like, that is one of the pictures that needs to go public. Like people need to see that, like, oh my God, why'd you cancel? Like the rain wasn't even that bad. And it wasn't just the rain, it was the wind, and it was the lightning, and the subsequent mud. I saw pictures of, like staff trying to get out were there all through Sunday, getting the campers out and everything. And their cars are literally like sinking in the mud. And they're like up like 3/4 of their wheel is just submerged in water. And like, it's bad out there. Like the grounds are bad. It is full of, like, seeing that, and it's just, a few hundred, staff and everything, trying to get out that's left, and thinking of, oh my God, 20,000 campers, we're trying to get out and that stuff. It would be an absolute nightmare. But to my knowledge, it was canceled. It was called because of the weather, because it had been bad on Saturday, and it was only supposed to get worse through the night, and it was supposed to be bad on Sunday. But then seeing the condition of the grounds with the mud and like the huge puddles that border on being ponds basically, and seeing the fallen trees, and especially that huge trunk one that tacoed the Penske truck, I feel like they made the right call. I know it would have been way worse. Like, oh my God, they can't believe they canceled, what a shit show, whatever, this and that. If there had been people on that road when that tree fell, that's way worse than me. Like 10 people dying from that tree is a way worse outcome to me than, 30,000 people having a bad time. So ultimately, they made the call for safety. And from what I've seen of the grounds and people sending me pictures and vids from yesterday and today, I feel like they made the right call because it was terrible out there. Zach, I appreciate you, brother. Zach was my battle buddy at stage 3. He says holding down the barricade with everyone at stage 3 was all I needed. That was, man, we did that in spades. Are we planning to do security next year? Stephen Corsi says, are we planning to do security next year? So I'm going to have a sit down with the head of security and Sly and just let them know, like, hey, I understand it was, situations beyond their control both years running. But I'm absolutely going to throw, like I said, we're contracted to do it this year and step in. I'm absolutely going to throw Pit Crew's hat into the ring and be like, look, you guys handle the logistics, get your camper check in. And, because one of the things they ran in this year was, they stacked up on security. They were, to the hilt. But then so many of them went down, with heat exhaustion during the check-in that they had to pull from the front of house and from the barricades to kind of fill those slots. So I would love to have a sit down with Sly and with the head of security and say, hey, bring me in, either as a consultant or, as a front of house lead or whatever. Let me recruit my boys. We will run front of house. We've shown we can do it. Like, if I have 12 months to prepare for it, imagine what we can do when you've seen what we can do in 2.5 hours. Like, we got the call, at 11:30, and we were ready to go, for the pre-party that very day. So, if we have time to plan, it's just one less thing on their plate. So say, hey, bring us in, let us run front of house on all 4 stages, give us radios, give us go-karts, give us chow, give us a place to sleep, and that is, you'll never have to worry about it. Pit Crew will handle it. So I want to either be all the way in and say, hey, we're going to do this, let us do it, just with the expectation that that's going to be what it is for us, or I just want to be all out and say, hey, come hell or high water, if this place is burning to the ground, don't call on us, because we can't do this a third time where it's like, at go time, vacation, family reunion. Just kidding. I have no problem with either one. I love music festivals. I love BRRF. I love Incarceration. I love The Gathering. I still miss Rebellion, to this day, and Warped Tour. Man, I miss Warped Tour. But I want to get with them and talk it out and either be all the way in or all the way out. Even if, like, as I stated, if I'm just brought in as a consultant, let me come in, show you how to run this stuff, show you how many people, to stock it with or whatever. And then when the bell rings on opening day, I'll go off duty because you guys know what you're doing now. But yeah, either way, I'm not sure that's in their hands, but I'm not against us stepping up and running it. And I've already had so many Pit Crew be like, if we're doing this next year, let me know, I'm in, we'll get it handled. So I know it can be done. It's just a matter of all the logistics. Steve Thomas says, any ideas why I canceled the last 2 days even though the weather was good? Yeah, it was just preemptive, Steve. I think I kind of already covered that a couple minutes ago, but it was, even though it wasn't going to be as much lightning or hail or anything like it was still, the grounds were getting muddier and muddier, and the wind was supposed to be really bad on Sunday, and it was. So it was out of an abundance of caution. We made the best of a bad situation. Exactly, Shannon. That is what we do. Oh no, I lost my, but this thing auto scrolls. Oh man. I don't know where it was. I'm gonna have to scan some stuff. I'm sorry, fam. All right, speed reading, spoon time. Eric Bell says, when can we get a copy of the fan pick after Slipknot? I'm getting ready to, so I wanted to do this first so that whenever I did make a post, the comments weren't flooded with, oh my God, this rumor, oh my God, I heard this, oh my God, whatever. So I'm going to do a big media dump because I have pics from like after Slipknot. I have the pic from the pop-up show when we did, quote unquote barricade, when we were the barricade there. And then all just the random snaps I grabbed, through the weekend. So I've got a big photo and video dump just coming from myself. That'll go up probably not tonight because I want to do a big fluffy post with it. But it'll probably go up tomorrow. How they have it? Sorry, this one just go late. This 30 years of the crown. Correct, Kana. That's what I heard. Whether that's true or not, whether I Prevail just said, "Oh, we're too tired," or "We don't care," or whatever, or whether it was rumor from the beginning. Basically, what we got told is the crowd at the other pop up was having trouble staying out of the road and being rowdy and yada yada, and then the crowd was getting like insanely big at the other one whenever because it was Oliver Anthony, then Shinedown, then Papa Roach. They said by the time Papa Roach was on, it was just a monstrous, crowd to the point where if you're in the back of it, you literally couldn't hear anything. And they were like, man, if I Prevail goes on, this place is going to get like gnarly. And there was, they're literally playing in the middle of a field. So it wasn't even like there was a proper barricade or, a state or anything like that. It was, if someone wanted to rush them or if one angry drunk guy was like, oh, I'm going to get on, I'm going to get up on the gazebo with them, like whatever the case was. So it was concerns of, it getting out of hand because it only takes one spark, Also, the people who commented originally on, I set my friends on fire, posted BRRF, and then did the photos, just bands, cameras, and shit, websites, and forums. No worry, Lindsay. It is very good. That's the exact point of this. I'm gonna wipe my nose off camera real quick. It's that nothing more. Let It Burn. They have that song. I love Nothing More, but they have that song Let It Burn where it was if you repeat a lie enough, it becomes a fact. So, once you see someone post something and you're like, oh man, is that true? And then you see 84 other people post it and you're like, oh my God, I guess, you just you subconsciously just accept it. Like, oh, that must be the truth. Like everyone's saying it. But yeah, no, that is not the case. At least for that one specific part of it, I can safely say that's not the case. And as far as people not getting fed and crew walking out and all that stuff, it's stage 3. I can squarely say that was not accurate at all. I can't say for, the other stages and what may have happened there. But that was not my experience. The crew and the stagehands and the stage manager and everyone that I opened the weekend with at the pre-party on Wednesday were the same people that I closed down Lorna Shore with on Friday night. So. Posting soon. Is Icon going to be paid next year? Strawberry Clouds. If Pit Crew does step in next year, yes, it would be as a subcontracted service. As stated, we're already getting paid this year. I just have as of yet to do the math and submit the invoice and everything. So we were this wasn't a, oh my God, panicking, we weren't prepared. This was a, hey, we see a problem coming. Let's answer it. So we actually, before the fest officially kicked off, Pit Crew was contracted and brought in as a paid entity for this year at the fest. Let's see. This is why hydrating properly is important. Yep. That guy Travel says, this is why hydrating properly is important. My rule of thumb, one of my passions is I love snowboarding. I try to take a yearly trip out to like Vail, Colorado, which is at like 12,000 feet altitude. And the rule of thumb is if you're trying to stay hydrated, is if you're thirsty, drink a full bottle of water. If you're not thirsty, drink a full bottle of water and just keep that up throughout the day. Anytime you think about it, be like, I'm not doing anything right now. I should be drinking water. Just keep it in your system. Oh no, Michael Lamb, no. Michael Lamb says he loved working the Slipknot barricade, but he caught a surfer that had pooped his pants and he got it on his hands. Oh. Sorry. Porta potties will forever be an issue. At your service at Rocklahoma, know how to handle people's shit, literally and figuratively. Reach out to more of us to help so a work rest cycle could be in place. Andy Thon says, why didn't you reach out to more of us to help so a work rest cycle could be in place? We did for the most part. We had it pretty much intact. Andy, you were one of the people that, you know, strolled up and you're like, hey, if you need anything, let me know. And yeah, we were good to go. It seemed like anytime one of us would go down, it was like two more were there to take his place. It was like cutting the head off a Hydra. So I don't feel like anyone, you know, me and myself included, I worked literally bell to bell every day. I never left, you know, the barricades. I wasn't, you know, exhausted. Maybe I'm built different or whatever, but I wasn't exhausted. Like, you know, I was getting in the shade, chugging water in between sets, you know, staying on the radio with, hey, how's everyone doing? You know, we're communicating and sending people back and forth. And you guys were hooking us up on like it, you know, people bringing us, you know, food and snacks and whatever. And I'd gone to, we were originally getting liquid IV packets from the med tent. And, you know, it hit a point where they're like, we can't give you any more. Like, we need them in case, you know, people show up unconscious with heat exhaustion or whatever. So I literally went to Walmart and dropped $168 on liquid IV and just brought them in a duffel bag. And I was like, anytime you get a bottle of water, throw liquid IV in there. And yeah, we were good to go. So I was up and on my feet. And most of us, I know, like Steve Corsi, Dom and Steve Thompson, Zach Pampooch, Kyle Eglund, Zach McCaw, you know, Frank, Tim, Tunney, Rob, like we were all bell to bell, and those dudes were all soldiers, and they were just like from sun up to sunset, you know. So we didn't have to rotate in there wasn't a whole lot of points where people were like, oh, I'm tired, I need a break. It was pretty much, you know, we were rolling, we were good, unless someone did just legitimately overheated and had to back out. So Eric says it doesn't work if you love what you're doing. Very true. Chronicles have to say I can't. Moshpit Chronicles says I have to say I came to Blue Ridge over Rocklahoma for the family pits. It sucked without you, Spoon and Tim, and the rest of y'all like we didn't Heart Support in the pits. Heart Support was a good time. That will forever live on as just a fantastic fest, and the weather, and yeah. I tried to get up on the barricade and look out over the pit and throw love to it as often as I could, but it was we stayed pretty busy up there. Yep, Lindsay says that's the way Virginia is. The radar changes minute by minute. Very true. So right on, Rejected. Rejected says I have an icon bandana and I always wear it, even at school. I have much the same bandanas. People don't appreciate the utility of a good bandana as well as it being a stylish fashion statement. I love bandanas. Ooh, boo, touchy-feely jerks in the pits. Yes, we will get in. Strawberry Clouds asks, are we going to get a new design for BRRF next year? Yes, we shall. We had one Bells of Rust says, I'm glad no one got majorly hurt. It's a fucking miracle. We did have no major injuries. We had 0 injuries to surfers. And as far as people on the barricades, to my knowledge, we had one and only one injury. And that was from the man, the myth, the legend himself, Maz. He, at 10 years at the pre-party, got, those jerks out in the crowd that think it's so super cool to show how manly men they are and will literally like launch surfers and just try to bench press them as far as they can. Some dude did that and was like, hey, let me throw this person at this guy trying to catch him and get him on the ground safely, and launched him at Maz. And Maz caught him, but he went backwards, and when he stepped out on the barricade, he landed on his ankle wrong, and he
twisted his ankle pretty bad. No breaks or nothing. God, thank goodness for that. But Maz messed up his ankle pretty well on Wednesday night. And to my knowledge, that's the only injury we had, other than my scrapes and bumps and bruises, whatever. Scott Callahan says they'd just seen Burning Man footage. Exactly. And that's a lot of people have brought that up of like, people were like, oh, why did they cancel it? The weather really wasn't that bad. And it's like, just rain can make it, unbearable. There were people stuck for literal days out at Burning Man just from rain, just in the mud. And that's kind of the case out at VIR right now. It is a quagmire out there with all the rain that it got. The scheduled you being covered on some garbage coming out. Yep. Let's see. Mosh Pit Chronicles, give us an icon stage. Yes, I concur. That's the dream right now. That is what we're working towards. Next year, stage 3, icon pit crew stage for sure. Yeah, Joe, the stage manager of stage 4. Tim says that, I know Joe, the stage manager on stage 4, would be in favor of us coming back. He actually paid us a huge compliment. He, whenever we got there, and Tim and Tunney were running point up there, but they had Dave Melton up there, God bless them, and a few of the other boys. And Joe, the stage manager of 4, literally came to Tim and pulled him aside, and he's like, I want you to know that if pit crew isn't running this stage, I don't want to be here. You guys are awesome. Because that was like, that one tugged at our heartstrings. We're like, thank you so much. But yeah, the stage manager himself literally came down and was like, you guys are fucking awesome. You know what you're doing. You keep the crowd happy. Like, Tim and Tunney were up there killing it with the crowd work. I'm so down with doing either. Good to hear, Dom. I'm right there with you, bro. It was nice to meet some of y'all. I know we did it again. Stupid Otter School thing. I don't like this. Why does it do that? There we go. Hero. You guys got it. It's not that I didn't want you, Andy. Just I wanted everyone to have as much fun as they possibly could, and I wasn't turning people away for any reason other than we didn't need the help at the time, and I didn't want to take away from anyone's festival experience. But we were not undermanned for any means at any of the stages. We were good to go all weekend. I will go to war next to you any day of the week, Andy. Kevin Tucker says, when is online merch going live? My current goal is October 1st. So I want to put the finishing touches on the website and have it up and running October after the comeback. That may get exacerbated a little now with what happened with BRRF and yada yada. And but the goal going into September was for pitcrew.com to be up in October. I personally avoided pits until I saw an icon shirt there, so the pits were wilding out. That is very true, Jasmine. Watching some of those pits from the barricade, especially on stage 3, because we had Upon a Burning Body and the Acacia Strain and Lorna Shore, and we had like a lot of the heavy bands on Friday. Some of those pits got gnarly. I bought 4-day VIP and got 0 benefits of it. We should start a club, Tim. Love you, Spoon. I hate I can see it this weekend. That is, if I had to nail down one regret, that's literally it. Like, I'm not mad about not seeing the fest, or like I literally got to watch 0 bands this week. I had my back to every band that played this weekend. But if I had to nail down one regret, my biggest sad point about BRRF, it's that I didn't get to see 1/10 of the people that I wanted to see. There were so so much fam that I wanted to be able to see and hug and have a chat with and meet face to face. And I didn't get to meet so many people, let alone re-see people. But you know, in the future, we're not going anywhere. I'm not dead yet, so we'll have opportunities. Did I sign an NDA? Nope. Spoon hip better. Thank you. I've seen some of these pictures. It looks bad. Yeah, those pictures are. I hope the pictures go public. The pictures that I've been privy to, that of the grounds and everything, I really hope they make them public, because it'll squash a lot of the, oh, it wasn't that bad, oh, whatever. Like when you see a car literally with the running boards submerged in mud, and you see a tree this big and round laying all the way across the road, like the pictures of the grounds are gnarly. So I hope they do release some of them, like, hey, this is why we canceled. We presumed this was coming, and it did come. Was the security company pleased with Picker's performance from That Guy Travels? Yes, they were ever grateful for us. They were, you know, a couple times actually step in, you know, because they had some of their guys in there with us, you know, that they could cycle through or whatever, and they still had like their stage security heads, you know, at all the stages. And yeah, they were nothing but, you know, complimentary. They're like, God, we love you guys so much. You guys know what you're doing. Like even the director of security came down for the pre-party, because he ended up, you know, getting some of his guys down there. So we had like, you know, like 8 pit crew on one side running the barricade, and then he had like, you know, 6 to 8 of his guys, you know, that he brought over for the pre-party, and he literally sat back in the middle, and he looked over at us, and he looked over at them, and he came over to me, and he pulled me aside. He's like, bro, he's like, I got to tell you, boys know what you're doing. Like, holy shit. He's like, there is an obvious difference. And so, but no, it was the security company, you know, RFH Tactical. They were awesome to work with. You know, I mean, there was a lot of curveballs thrown at all of us. But, you know, like I said, we had radios, we had a direct line to them. They had a direct line to us. And it was, you know, they were on top of stuff as they could be. I know there were a lot of, you know, problems to handle and fires to put out or whatever, fires to put out before the internet takes that literally, like, oh my God, anyway, there are a lot of problems to be handled. But no, they were great to work with. I have nothing but good to say about them, and I would hope that, you know, I don't know if they talked about us behind our back or whatever, but to our faces, it was all hugs and high fives and, you know, gratefulness, and they loved us to death. And, you know, as much as trusting us to step into it and run it and know what we were doing, and, you know, contract us to do it. So what happened next year at the barricades in 22? Damon. So I'm gonna sit down and attempt to have that talk with Sly and Mike. And I will absolutely shoot up the flare. Like if they're like, yeah, let's see what you can do. We'll give Pit Crew the contract. You guys run front of house. I'll be, you know, shooting everyone that helped out last year and was there this year, and, you know, all the people that know what they're doing and do this for a living. We'll rally the troops. But I'll have a great big post, an announcement of, hey, we've officially got the contract. Here's the conditions. You know, so so it lingered. Daughter's beef. Number of times of this. Tim says the number of times I was asked, how do you never get tired by people who still assume I'm human? It was unreal. Tim's pants had a fatal accident. Last year I was snapping on the guys throwing surfers of the barricades, as you should, Chase. Frank snapped on a couple, and I jerked one out of the crowd myself. He was doing that, and he launched and it was a chick this time, and he launched her into the barricade and almost sent 2 people ass over tin cups. And I literally got up on the barricade and leaned all the way over. Like I had, I forget who was behind me. It might have been Zach. I think Zach might have been my brace man at that point, but someone literally had my legs because I was up off the barricade, and I got under his arms and literally pulled him out of the crowd and took him up to the front and handed him off to security. And I was like, he needs to go. He is done. I don't know what security did from him there. I don't know if they escorted him from the grounds or just, whatever. But yeah, I pulled him. It was ugly. But that was really the only, and that was about the only altercation we had at the stage 3. It was like one drunk dude that was launching people right at the barricade. And when I saw him do it, I got eyes on exactly who it was. I pulled him right over that barricade and handed him off to security, and they escorted him out. Right here, that was in the sun. A moment of silence for those shorts. Trish, if you would love a light pink or white t-shirt, then I have a feeling you'll be very excited when the website launches. Oh, thank you, Shannon. She says, you guys are the best. I'm proud to be a part of this family. Under Oath 2005 says, Spoon, I personally never believed for one single second that we walked out. That's not us. Some of these rumors are ridiculous. You're absolutely right. That was my favorite one to read, though, because when I read it, I was literally on the barricade. They're like, they're shutting the fest down because pit crew quit and walked out. I was like, what? I was like, damn, I wish someone would have told me. I'd love to get a patch or something like that, and so did my combat boots. Well, lucky for you, Daddy Yokai, I'm sitting about 5 feet away from a whole smatch of patches right now. I don't know if a smatch is the proper term for a group of patches, but I have a feeling that it is from now on. A lot of people asking for Icon Fest. We're probably a few years away from that, but it's not outside of the realm of possibility. That's definitely something that has been tossed around. For the time being, we have the Queen City Metal Fest coming up in October, and we have the Headbangers Ball in October as well. And those are both going to be big family events. So if you need to get your fix in between now and when festival season starts back up, there's going to be a lot of us at both of those, and they're both great local shows, really good causes, and a bunch of dope bands on those lineups. It's been a long week, y'all. Okay. Icon Fest. I love that people even chant in the comments. Daddy Yokai says Icon Croc Charms. We have literally just recently looked into that. What are they called? They're called gibbets. And that's something that Kate actually was like, I wonder how much custom gibbets cost. So that's actually something that's on our radar. We do not recommend moshing in Crocs, though. That's a recipe for disaster. Roselle was worth that first round pick. Yeah. Big shout out. There was I know that the pit crew had a massive presence at the festival, but I mean the security guys, like I said, it was a pleasure working shoulder to shoulder with a bunch of them. Roselle, definitely one of them. Roselle stepped up. That dude was a beast. Like he was there for training, like, at the beginning of the pre-party, and there was like 1 or 2 things, and literally, I saw him catch a couple of surfers. I was like, hey bro, do this, not that. And he's like, got it. A couple more surfers like, hey, do this, not that. He's like, got it. And he was butter from then on. Like Roselle killed it. I would fucking catch surfers shoulder to shoulder with that dude any day of the week. John with no H, Kit and Kathy, like there were some security that were awesome, man. I mean, they were just killing it. So I know that, pit crew's obviously more visible and more memorable or whatever, but big shout out for the security that did step up and were helping out on the barricades. they were, because I mean some of them were priceless. They were murdering it. Please let me know. Contract family 10-4. Chase is an AI and Tim is a robot. That checks out. Of woe is me. Somebody out there. We're determined who was working with stage. I picked result. My friend was my first pick for the security team. About 14 dicks worth of patches. Chase. One smash of patches. Scott Callahan says, I was still hugging people at gas stations on the way home. I had a whole day of unused ones. Yep. I still got a couple few days saved up. I got a bunch of hugs that need to be handed out. Just put the Crocs in 4-wheel drive. Holy crap, I'm caught up. Steel toe Crocs. Woo. Nice. On pits, this will be after our national treasure. It looks like a big bitch out of the mobile beer vendors with the water cannons. Yep. Icon me and help with pets. That's a good call. Tomorrow. Good night. Night, Kana. Thank you for hanging out with us. I'm sad I didn't get to see more of you or really any of you at BRRF, but soon. Talking about himself in the third person. Nikolai 0814. Is that the Nick from Camp Degen? The father of Jacoby and Felicia and Neil? Oh, hey, brother. How you doing? Good to see you, man. We were literally just talking about you today. Andy, on their way home, Andy and Logan stopped by here just to say what's up and drop some stuff off. And we were reliving the weekend and talking about it. And we're like, yeah, this and that and blah, blah, blah. And we were talking about like the high points. And Andy was like, and we got to meet Nick and Jen. And I was like, oh, Nick and Jen were awesome. I love those guys. Like, so we're already talking about, like, we gotta stay in touch with them so we can camp again with them next year, man. Like, they were awesome. Electric Callboy was an insane show from what I heard. Michael Lamb, I'm sad that I wasn't there to work it, but stage 3 we had a bunch of good shows too. But I heard that Electric Callboy was absolutely unhinged of a good time. Ooh, rejected says I have a big icon logo on my back. Nice. You have to get with Frank to see if you can get one bigger than him. Claim the new record is the biggest icon tat. I'm going to sip my chalky mill while I wait for another question. And then going to drink some Alka-Seltzer and pass out. Random plug, y'all, if you got the pit flu or you're fighting COVID or whatever, don't sleep on Alka-Seltzer severe cold and flu. That shit works, and it works fast. No worries at all, Grizz. You weren't the only one to go down, man. Like I said, I watched 3 pit crew go down at my stage alone, and I heard lots of talk from people. Just Kayla Lasher, they were apparently just walking, like just the walk like from camp to the venue, and she like almost passed out, and they had to
get her in and get her in the shade and get her hydrated and everything. So I mean, it was just ridiculously hot. Like no one could have, it's not like, the powers that be sat down, a year and a month ago and were like, let's look into the future. What's going to be the hottest fuck all weekend of the year? Like, okay, let's put it right there. Like, it was gnarly hot. Kyle says we need a picker duck for the Jeeps. Working on that. I've looked at a few different companies, but I definitely want to get a picker duck. Frank says, I just saw a new rumor. Oh, I'm excited to hear this one. BRRF was shut down by the health department for sanitary measures. Wow, that's strong. That is. Now, I know no one should even entertain that rumor because of the simple fact that festivals in Florida exist. I'm just kidding, Florida. I love you. But feel better soon. Thank you for everything this weekend. I'm on the up. I definitely feel better than I did yesterday. So on the up and up, and absolutely. You're extremely welcome. That's why we do what we do, man. Positive and negative. Like I said, if my entire experience, the only good thing I got of that was making that little girls' night with that set list from Lorna Shore. That was worth it to me. That was my good time for the weekend. My little brother says, bro, you sound like shit. That Alka-Seltzer's needed. Thanks, bro. He says with all the love in the world. Oh man, oh god, Kyle, you spoke it into existence. People are geeking over pit crew ducks. There are more Jeep lovers out there than I originally knew. Oh, Scott says Sharon almost called the medic on me on Tuesday. We set up on that 145-degree tarmac, bro. It was serious business out there. Like, we just walked across it because Maz was in RV, and we went and visited him, and then went from there over to like Camp Ridge Rats, and just walking like up that tarmac, like for the 3-4 minutes we were on it, we were all feeling it. We were like, holy shit! Like we literally had to stop like halfway and get over like near one of the red buildings, like under an awning, and just kind of chill for a couple minutes at a picnic table. That tarmac was serious business. A lot of chat about moving BRRF to October. Can you confirm or deny? I can't confirm or deny either way. My best educated guess is the dates for next year are already locked in. So if that did happen, I imagine it wouldn't be until 2025. Because I'm by no means an oracle, but for everything that I've been made aware of, the dates for next year are already set and done and set in stone. So if there was chatter of moving it to October, I don't know the logistics of how easily it would be to move an event this large, with just 1 year ahead of time with the dates already locked in. But if that did come to fruition, I'd presume it wouldn't be till 2025, but I've heard nothing of that. Cut a lot. Looks it's during call boys. That's just mean, Tim. Oh, missed the rumor part. So what's the square root of the brain? I think is going backwards and Tim is jumping on Tony. That's too much math. Icon band. There already are icon bands. They're A Light Divided. My brother is the guitarist for A Light Divided. Scars Remain is a family band.
Strike the Tower, Fight from Within. I mean, there's family all over the place, but there's quite a few pit crew bands out there that we show love and support for. Heading to bed. Thanks for the update, Spoon. Hope you feel better and see you soon. Have a good rest, Chris. Pleasure seeing you, brother. It's all up in my plans to feel better. That's the goal. Going backwards is Lasher's territory. No gimmick infringement. Oh yeah, Neil will have a 5X pit crew shirt and a bandana next year. To check on my brother at stage there. I saw a photographer her daughter from last year. They got pictures of me and Peyton hugging on the barricade. She gave a candy bracelet and said BRRF hero. She wanted to give them all the icon members that helped. Oh, that's awesome, Twilight Girl. Nick and Jen also need bigger shirts. Yeah, true facts. I have those. DM me on the Book of Faces. William Spoonfoy. I'm pretty much the only Spoonfoy that exists in the world. But yeah, hit me up, Nick, and we'll see what we can do about rectifying that situation for you. Lindsay says, hey, Grizz, John Sly mentioned the dates during Alive. Boom. Take that, Lindsay, with the fast facts. We've got so many ideas. John's like, I need to write these all down. Someone make a list. Michael Lamb says, I Prevail's an icon band. Yeah, true. True. Their family at this point, they were out of the campsites chilling with us. The actual Eric, the singer of I Prevail, was out at like Ridge Rats camp and was chilling at one of the Icon RVs. Like, he was all over the place giving love. Man, they've shouted us out on Sirius Radio. They had an interview on Octane. They shouted out the pit crew. And then Brian wore a pit crew shirt on stage last year for BRRF. So yeah, I Prevail's pretty much a family band at this point. Good luck on your test tonight, Lindsay. Eric can't watch this on the slip and slide with the bubble balls. No. All right. Well, I think that covers most of it, fam. We are creeping up on the 2-hour mark. But I'm glad I got to hang out with y'all, quote unquote, see a bunch of y'all, even if I didn't get to hang out with you at BRRF. One of the teachers tried dress coding my bandana. I don't think they're allowed to do it. Just tell them it's religious wear. Yep. Love all you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. This was wonderful. This was what my heart needed after a couple of days of being sick, and the best Saturday ever recorded in the history of the world, getting rained out. So that Saturday was going to be gnarly. And I Prevail was headlining my stage. Like, I was so happy to go in on Saturday because I was like, man, all I got to do is get through like 9 bands and then I Prevail headline stage 3. Like, I was so geeked, so ready for it. but it's okay. Next year, there'll always be more shows. But yeah, Missy, Chase, Damon, that guy Travels, Bo, Grizz, Lindsay, Courtney, John with the H in front, Nick and Jen. Oh yeah, Lindsay Walbillick, Steve and Dom, Tim. Pleasure hanging out with all y'all. So Spoon, are we getting sweatshirts, aka hoodies, again soon? Yes, those are coming in the once the website is up. Those will be the first thing that I replenish the order for, so that we can get them here for the upcoming winter. Oof, that would make us a cold Spoon. I don't even remember what I. Oh, about the the religious wear for the bandana. Fair point. Fair point. Just say music's my religion. I worship sound waves that make me happy. Much love, Dom. Be safe, brother. It was good seeing you. Good going to war with you again. Love you guys. Rusty says +1 for the Ducks. My YouTube won't let me sign in. Also for the tattoo, remember 2 7s are better than a 10. Truth. That guy Travel says, by the way, this is Rob. Rob Hirsch, I'm presuming, because that would make sense for that guy. So no, I'm Spoon. Hopefully, I'll see you real soon. I'll see you real soon, Andy. That's fingers crossed. We're gonna work something out. Caroline Mitchell says, everyone stay safe from radio positivity. Absolutely. And if you see any of those goofball rumors flying around out there, just link them to this live. Be like, go watch this. Stop being stupid. Do a backflipping in the stream. We'll be able to get any eye colors on the website. No, we won't be. We're not that big yet. So, custom eye colors. The reason that I typically reserve that for like when someone wins a contest or I give it out special or whatever is because it's $15 to change color per site on the shirt. So, for instance, if someone wanted like a light pink shirt like this, if I order a dozen or more shirts, the cost is a wash. We don't get charged anything extra. But if we order 11 or less shirts of one specific color, it's a $15 upcharge per shirt, because then the printer would have to store those. They can only order them in a dozen. So it gets stored in a warehouse and we're taking up space in their business and yada, yada. And then any color change is an extra $15. So if someone wanted like a bright orange eye, that's 2 color changes right there. So that's $30. Plus the custom shirt is $45. And then if they want a different color ink, like if they wanted, the black or a purple or whatever for the actual lettering, now you're talking about an additional 1, 2, 3 sites. That's an extra $45. So when someone orders a custom shirt, depending on how custom they want it, it can sometimes cost me like upwards of $100. So that's why I tend to only give those away on special occasions or, when someone wins a contest or whatever. So as much as I would love to, have every shirt be like, hey, design your pit crew shirt and we'll make it custom and ship it to you, we just don't have the volume for that yet. There's no way for us to keep the costs down to where a custom shirt isn't costing someone, $175 to, get whatever they want. So don't lie, don't claim you're Rob. Oh, Dying Oath. Yeah, Maz. God, how did I forget Dying Oath? I don't know. I'm sick. That's my excuse. It's been a long week. All right. Night, Wednesday. The storm grew over us because we didn't have a Christian rock band like Skillet. Love you, Damon. Night, brother. You do need a purple eye shirt. You have good claim to it. But all right, I'm signing out. I love y'all. Stay positive, and I'll hopefully see a lot of y'all at Queen City Metal Fest or Headbangers Ball or any of the many shows we have coming up. The one I'm most excited for is we have the Aerosmith farewell tour coming up. Kate and I got tickets to that. So hopefully see y'all around. I love y'all. Sleep well, get home safe, rest up. We'll do it all again pretty soon. Ah.